muscle car maniac Carbarians. Raw, raw. I got flannel on. You can't tell that I'm all big and swole. Anyways, working on the black car today and fiddling around with the radiator. Well, found out with this combination that's in it, running a vacuum pump. Like I said, this is now a 555. It was a 496. I just put the radiator in the car, and this was going to be one of the things we kind of touched base on. And the mandrel, excuse me, the mandrel that's on there that runs the vacuum pump is like right in between the fans. I tell you what, I'm going to pick you guys up so you can see what's going on here. But, yeah, the mandrel is literally, oh, let me pull this back a little bit. There we go. Oh, see if you can see that booger down in there. Yeah, you see it down in there? So that mandrel's right next to the fan. So what I had to do was these little nubs. Oh, I gotta do a little holding here. These little nubs right here on the fan. See how they kind of curve up like this? Well, it's down there at the bottom. That mandrel way down there at the bottom is literally laying right against one of these. So what I did was I took a porting bit and I just carved this out. I basically traced out where this tube is that I made. I carved all that section out. Now, sorry, just had some Chick-fil-A and a little barbecue sauce down the wrong pipe. Well, I had to take the frickin' radiator and I had to take it over, and you can see where the old hole is to where that one is. Well, now I got to take the damn thing and I got to shift it over. So doing that, I got to worry about here and here and just all kinds of stupid stuff. And once I did that, the frickin' radiator hoses now. I'm fighting with those things. So, I mean, again, a lot of you guys know this is just the price you pay and the stuff that you have to do. So, ended up going out to Napa. They didn't have anything. Went to, Advanced Auto. They didn't have anything. And then also, I ended up finding Kenowa Auto Supply, and I don't like running these radiator hoses. These ones, these, you know, the bendable ones here. But this was my lower radiator hose, and where it fit on, you know, it fit on perfectly fine here. Well, when I shoved the radiator over, now I'm real close to, oh, now you can see it. I'm real close to the frame. So now I got to move the thing back that way. Well, now that I'm doing that, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like right there almost against the mandrel. So I got it set up now to where I'm about 1/4 of an inch away from that mandrel. And it's working. So I had to go find a radiator hose that was a little bit longer. Nobody had anything, you know, nobody had anything. So at that point, you know, you got to make do with what you can. And I even thought about getting some like stainless steel exhaust and then running a bead of weld around it, cutting that, and then sticking it on there. Because we've done that for like blower motors, where like your top radiator hose, you're fighting with your top radiator hose, and you got to get it around a belt, or you got to get it around, say you're doing like a roots blower, you got to get it around there. So we've done that before, and you can buy those things. So I was kind of at that point where I'm going, if I can't find anything, I'm going to have to make one of those again, which, you know, I'm sure one of these days it'll be shown on the episode of how you can make one at home. As long as you got a little welder, you can make it. You know, it's better to bead roll it, but if you don't have a bead roll, then you can just run a bead of weld around it. It's just a way to, you know, hold the hose on there. But I didn't. I ended up getting that flexible one, so we are going to put that thing on. Radiator is going to come back out. What is this, the 4th time? And have to do a little bit of fiddling with that, get that thing out, and I'm going to do some shifting around, and yeah. So here we go. Let's see. That is what I had to do the grinding on right here. And like I said, I just used a regular old porting bit, you know, stuck it in the drill, called it a day. But what was going on was, if you can imagine having this same chunk like this all the way up to here, that mandrel is right there. And what am I talking about? You guys might be like, what do you mean? What do you mean? That. See how far that sticks out for the vacuum pump and all that? this is so close. It's actually this guy is so close to the fan that, well, obviously I don't want to have a a catastrophe in that sense, so I'm going to do a little bit more grinding on that. And also what I ended up doing was, I don't know if I said this in a previous episode or not, but transmission lines now are coming up and through, up the frame, up the strut bar here, coming back down. And then, well, I made these for when it was working good, you know, before. Now I have to do some extensions. So now I ended up going out, picking up a couple of these little boogers. So now I can make the transmission lines as long as I want. And I'm thinking I'm going to make a bracket that will hold the transmission cooler in here. Just because I took the radiator and I had to go from here and I had to shift it over. It's probably an inch. So I have a little bit of a gap in here. So like I said, I'm going to just try to take the transmission cooler, make some brackets, mount it here, and then from there I'm just going to run them out here. And I mean, I have these holes sitting right here, so I can just use these. I mean, it's just for the blinker. At that point, I can run my lines through here, or I can even run them through this big old monster hole, and we should be all right. So that'll take care of all the transmission stuff, which is good. But then once I get done with that, radiator's in, the tranny's done, then what I want to do is either I'm going to start on brakes and finish up. I had to make that main line that goes underneath the motor, then pops up, comes over on the other side. I got that done. Man, I had to beat the snot out of the headers. Oh, you guys weren't here for it. The remote oil filter, you know, everything's on, everything's done. This thing puked out. Oh my God. This thing probably puked out, oh, at least a full quart. I wanted to see if everything was up and running and ready to go. So fired the thing off, all my, you know, hooked everything back up, fired it off, and I hear this blah, 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 blah. Like, I thought, what the hell is that? I go underneath the car and I got at least a quart of oil. Well, come to find out, I'm brain farting it here. The piece that you would sandwich to where your old filter used to be, and then you got your two lines coming out for leading up to your remote filter up here, that thing, the O-ring was actually, there's a hole that has all the fluid, has all the oil come out. That O-ring literally was right over that hole. Well, then it's not going to seal against that thing. So I had to have an adapter that made it larger to where I could fit another O-ring. So it was like a sandwiched, bigger adapter. I'm not crawling underneath the car to show you what I'm talking about here, but it was, I had to dig through the box to find it, and what it said I could run wasn't what I could run. I put everything on the way it said for doing a big block Chevy. Well, this is a Gen 6 502 block, and it's a little bit different on the oil filter pad, and I had to run, it's like a smaller ring that was O-ringed. I had that put on it, and then you have another one that holds that one, and then it's bigger, and then that's got even a bigger O-ring on it. I hope this makes sense. So then at that point, once I put that on there, it sealed everything up and did all right, but holy crap. You know, I was like, yeah, the thing sounds great. It's in the car. Bop, bop, bop. You know, it's open header. It sounds all good. And then you could just hear this like, lock, lock, lock. I thought, what the hell is that? And that's when I got underneath it. And I mean, Brad Penn, green, stinky oil. Quick shut the car off. And I just, oh man, it was, and you guys know that, you know, jet hot coated headers. And now I got oil just literally just puking itself all over, you know, the headers. It's like, well, at least it's underneath the car so you don't see the stains, you know, that it put in the headers. So it was just one of those moments, you know, one of those good grief moments. So, but anyways, so now, like I said, once that's done, I'm either going to jump on the brakes or we're going to get into the trunk and move into the trunk. So I am going to do a little bit more work here. I'm just going to clean that spot up a little bit more, and then we're going to put it back in. I wanted to get the hose put on because I couldn't get it on there with the radiator in the way. So now we're going to try to get this on there, and you know, at least I got some flexibility. and then hopefully we can get it in there and we won't hit anything in the belts or anything like that. So now, oh, come on, bugger. There we go. Now, okay, we're missing there. Oh, you ain't moving. Holy cow, you are jammed in there. All right. Yeah, about 1/4 of an inch away. We're close. We are close. I think I'm gonna have to re-drill these and move them over. But yeah, we're, I'd say a pinky width away, which isn't too bad. Now let's see if we can actually get the lower radiator hose on. And of course, right where the steering is. It's close. It is close. The only bad thing is, you know, like the water pump is like 1 3/4, and the radiator is like 1 1/2. So you have all that extra space. So fingers are crossed that you can actually tighten up the hose clamp enough to not have it leak. Sometimes I've ran dual clamps. Sometimes they make like, you can have a hose inside of a hose, and it's almost like a filler. I've had friends do electrical tape. I am not doing that. But you can take like a chunk of hose and put it inside there and then clamp it down. Sometimes you can get away with that. Sometimes that works. But I wanted to make sure at least the hose I bought is close, and it's close. We're against the steering, and I can't really move over any farther, which absolutely sucks. Oh, that's why. Well, the fan looks like it might be touching. Oh, yeah. Now it is. Now the fan's touching the steering box. So now that's as far as I can go. Yeah, I think it'll work. Tell you what. Oh, let's see. I know you guys are probably going, you know, let me see what's going on. Let me see what's going on. So, this is what's going on. Yeah. So it's close, but you see what I mean by the steering? I gotta watch out for that, because to me, any moving parts I don't want next to hoses and things like that. But then, oh, let's see if I can get this down inside here. Yeah, now you can see what kind of space I got to that mandrel. And then, you see that little ear? Right there. That little ear, let me get that radiator back, is just about to the fan. So, for you guys that want to do this, these are the things that you have to do. It's trial and error. You got to keep trying it. Not everything fits perfectly. Transmission cooler's on. That's in. I made my lines that come off, and you can see the little unions that I ended up hooking up to that. So now we got plenty of line to where now I can take the transmission lines and I can run them up against the strut bar there. And then I just got a bunch of wires and all that stuff that I'm going to have to move there. But I can tuck everything in real nice. I'm going to wait till I get fuel lines. I still have to do the Aeromotive pump. I'm going to run, for the motor, I'm going to run an Aeromotive A1000. So this bad boy is going to go in it. So I just picked up that. So that's going to go in it. Like I said, I still have to do some work in the trunk to where I'm going to put a fuel cell in the trunk. I'm going to cut the floor, because for you guys that know it, Camaro floors do not go flat. They actually go from right there, then they drop, and then they come up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some I'm going to change up the roll cage a little bit. Where those bars are coming straight down, I'm going to have a bar going straight across and then straight down into a coilover setup, and then having bars coming from here back down and tie into the frame. Almost like if you took a strut bar and went from there to there. Might not make sense now, but it will once I'm done. And like I said, from frame rail to frame rail, I'm going to end up just doing that center piece, and I'm going to have it dropped. Most likely I'm going to try and fit a 20 gallon in here. I know I could fit a 15. But I'm going to try to fit a 20 gallon in there, and then because I'm keeping it Caltrax and all that, I'm going to run AFCO. I think they're big dogs or big bores. I'd love to get a set of Menser, rear coilovers. Well, the shock for it, but like I said, excuse me, money-wise right now, all the money's been spent from about the firewall forward. The back of this is still the stock 8.5 with, as good as it's going to get built, but still the stock 8.5. It's still on Southside Machine lift bars. It still has the old Comp Engineering, 3-way adjustable clicker shocks. Just that stuff alone. And now don't get me wrong, that's good stuff. I mean, I went mid-9s on this thing with those Comp 3-way adjustables, the 8.5, and a 10-to-1 496 with a $150 shot down it, and we were running like 940s, 950s. I mean, it'll still do it. But with what this is going to be, I want this to be, I'm going to be a second faster. But again, money-wise, I'm doing what I can. So most likely it's going to be running this motor with how I got the back end of the car set up before, and, it still should run mid to high 9s just on motor, which is, it's a fun car. I'm still going to enjoy the car. But no matter what, regardless, I still want to get the trunk done. So once I actually do all that stuff for the Caltrax, and I'm going to probably end up having Strange build me a Dana 60 for it. I ended up having Mosier do one for the 55, but I found Strange actually will do one for you a little bit cheaper. 35 spline axles, spool, 373s. I mean, completely done, built, and shipped here. You're probably looking at under $3,000. And then do the Strange brakes, like what I did up front, Strange brakes in the back, and then the Caltrax sliders, the AFCOs on the back, and that should pretty much do the trick for suspension. But with this, as you guys, well, you might be able to see it. Yeah, you can see the fuel line down at the bottom. It's got a drop sump in it, and I want to get rid of that. I want to put the cell in the back and just kind of finish all this off the way it's going to be, once I'm done with the car and the car is a, legitimate mid-8-second car. So again, where I spent all the money was all right here with all the tubular control arms and all the TRZ stuff and double adjustables up front and all that stuff. So anyways, but yeah, ended up getting the radiator in, done, got that side fixed. This was a pain in the butt. Had to dig up another hose, one that actually dropped down and worked in here. I'm just barely away from the vacuum pump. Originally I had this 90 on there and it wasn't working. I mean, I was completely crushing this hose. So I found a 45 union. This is a bulkhead, so I'm gonna have to find, this is a female union. I'm gonna have to get a male 12 to 12 union. Like I said, this is a bulkhead, so I'm gonna get rid of this big chunk of shit right here. And then that'll drop this down lower. But then as you can see, I'm like 1/8 of an inch away from here. So hopefully, I got room to grow. But that takes care of that. That was something else that I was fighting with, and I didn't have the camera on for that one. Sorry about that, guys. But I got that solved. I know what I have to buy here to fix that, which is no big deal. And then, just to show you guys what I ended up doing on the transmission, because I knew I was going to be on metal. This stuff you can get at, you might be able to buy it at Napa. You can get it through Eastwood and all that. And it's, 3M stuff. It's sticky on one side, and it's just a nice hard foam to where, especially with your transmission cooler, with your fins and just all of this stuff, I don't want any of this on bare metal. So what I ended up doing was I ran it right down the entire side here, and then what it's actually sitting on is a big long strip of it down there. So this whole thing is cushioned with this stuff. So at that way, it doesn't get eaten away, doesn't screw anything up. And then I do the same thing on the radiator because I ended up doing, I welded in some 1/4 by 3/4 steel, and then I dropped the radiator down because this radiator is actually a little bigger than normal. So I did that, and then I laid some of this stuff on the bottom of it so I won't eat the frame away or eat the aluminum away. So that's pretty much all that stuff. I think I'm probably going to wrap it up for the day. It's 4:30. I'm getting ready for going home, getting some dinner, and doing stuff like that. But it was a huge, huge project to be able to get, you know, the radiator in, deal with the vacuum pump, transmission, get all the lines ran, run the unions, make the new lines, you know, all that stuff. And she's coming along. She's definitely coming along. So it was nice to be able to get back and work on my own car. Dylan's motor is all together. He should be hopefully coming out here soon to pick that thing up. He's still got to order up the torque storm on that. What else? Hopefully you guys enjoyed the 598. I know the old man was super, super happy once that thing cracked that 1,000 mark. So we're definitely going to have some fun, you know, in the Camaro. Still working on this. Still trying to, you know, get things moving on here. Just getting all the front end stuff done, fiberglass stuff done. Quarter panels are roughed, but we're going to go through and, you know, we'll fill everything in. Already did all metal through here for the quarters. He just ended up getting the deck lid. As you can tell, he's Zeus fastening everything here because the original deck lid's right there, but that's, you know, obviously it's metal. They skinned the thing, but it's just super, super flimsy. So getting the glass deck lid, because this car had everything was steel. Doors, front end, deck lid, all that stuff, and they did a pretty cheesy way of cutting out the quarter panels. So he'll have fun, you know, the outlaw. That's right, the outlaw. So more stuff to come, you guys. Hopefully you guys are out there cracking the whip, getting your stuff done, busting your butts. Hopefully getting your cars ready to go for summer, because, man, it is right around the corner. So anyways, I'm going to say adios, my friends. I'm going to clean up,